Welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari tasks sports ministry stakeholders to build on Commonwealth Games successes. WAEC releases 2022 WASC results. Plus, U.S. calls on Russia to stop military activity at nuclear sites. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First in our news tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, sports federations and associations in the country on the successful conclusion and performance of Team Nigeria at the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, United Kingdom. A statement by the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, noted that Team Nigeria had posted an impressive outing at the competition, finishing 7th on the medals table with 12 gold, 9 silver and 14 bronze. Reacting, the President expressed delight at reports of peaceful atmosphere, unity and in the camp throughout the Games, which he said reflected positively in the psyche of the athletes, contributing to the harvest of medals for Team Nigeria. The President urged the officials to work with all relevant stakeholders to build on the success of the 2022 Commonwealth Games by beginning early and earnest preparations to surpass the achievement in subsequent competitions. He said he looked forward to a rousing reception for Nigerians for members of Team Nigeria Birmingham 2022 and assured all stakeholders that youth and sports development will remain a priority for his administration. The President also described Team Nigeria's performance at the Games as a parting gift to him. Meanwhile, President Buhari has nominated Mohammed Lamido as Executive Commissioner of Finance and Accounts for the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. According to the statement signed by his Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, the President had forwarded Lamido's name to the Senate for confirmation in an expeditious manner. The statement is titled, President Buhari nominates Executive Commissioner for Board of Upstream Regulatory Commission. In a related development, President Buhari has okayed Sevlet Energy Offshore Limited's acquisition of ExxonMobil shares in the United States of America. President Buhari's approval was contained in a statement by Presidential aide Femi Adesina today. Adesina noted that the President was acting in his capacity as Minister of Petroleum Resources and in consonance with the country's drive for foreign direct investment in the energy sector. According to Adesina, the President considered the extensive benefits of the transaction to the country's energy sector and the economy in giving consent. In the meantime, President Buhari has pledged full support for 3 major international events scheduled to take place in Nigeria in October and November. According to the President, the events are opportunities to showcase the nation's rich heritage in culture, arts, tourism and entertainment, as well as its advancement in media freedom. Nigeria will be hosting the 2022 UNESCO Global Media Information Literacy Week in Abuja in October, the first global conference on cultural tourism and creative industry in Lagos also in October, and the second Global Association of Literary Festivals Conference in Abeokuta in November. President Buhari welcomed decisions by organizers of the 3 historic events for Nigeria to host the fiestas and assured all stakeholders and participants of the warmth and hospitality of the people of Nigeria. In another development, the federal government has projected the cost of debt servicing by 2025 at 10.43 trillion naira. This is according to the 2023 to 2025 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. It is a 182.66% increase from the 3.69 trillion naira budgeted for debt service in 2022. Recall that the International Monetary Fund had earlier warned that debt servicing might gulp 100% of the federal government's revenue by 2026 if it failed to implement adequate measures to improve revenue generation. Speaking at the launch of the World Bank's Nigeria Development Update in Abuja, the Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed admitted that Nigeria was struggling to service its debt. She underscored the need for debt sustainability, noting that even though revenue is increasing, the expenditure has been increasing at a much higher rate, making it a very difficult situation. Meanwhile, the federal government is planning to begin implementation of its proposed excise duties on telecommunication services and beverages in 2023. The Budget Office of the Federation, which is under the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, announced the plan in its 2023 to 2025 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. According to the ministry, it was in a bid to boost its non-oil revenue streams. The minister further said excise duty revenue was expected to grow because of the introduction of telecom service charge, noting that the law now empowered the FIRS to appoint anyone as its agent to withhold or collect VAT and remit same to the service. On to the judiciary now, where an Abuja Federal High Court has fixed September 7 to hear a suit seeking to disqualify the All Progressives Congress APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu from participating in the 2023 elections. 4 APC chieftains had approached the court and sought Tinubu's disqualification from the presidential election because he allegedly submitted false information to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). Ruling on an ex parte application, the judge, Ahmed Mohammed, granted an order for substituted service on Tinubu. The plaintiff's counsel, Godi Uche, informed the court that substituted service had become necessary because all attempts to serve the presidential candidate proved abortive. The court ordered that court processes should be served on the National Secretariat of the APC and that such service shall be deemed as having been properly served on Tinubu. Justice Mohammed adjourned the case to September 7 for hearing. Now, in education, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, is accusing the federal government of misinforming Nigerians about their demands. The ASU president, Professor Emmanuel Sodeke, stated this while reacting to the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo's claim that it was unrealistic for government to borrow money to end the 5-month-old strike. In an interview with newsmen in Abuja, Osodeke said the claim by Keyamo that ASU was demanding 1.1 trillion naira to end the industrial action is false. He noted that negotiations with the government had not been fruitful owing to the actions of some government officials at the federal level and asked the federal government to stop misinforming Nigerians. Still in education, West African Examinations Council (WAEC) has released the results of the recently concluded 2022 West African Senior School Certificate Examinations (WASC). WAEC's head of national office, Patrick Aregan, made this known while speaking at a media briefing. According to Aregan, the results were released 45 days after the last paper. Aregan said the results of 365,564 candidates who wrote this year's WASC had been withheld over allegations of examination malpractices. He said the withheld results account for 22.83% of the total 1,601,047 candidates who sat for the examination. Away from that, Honeyman Museum and Gardens in southeast London is planning to transfer a collection of 72 items to the Nigerian government. The decision comes after Nigeria's National Commission for Museums and Monuments formally asked for the artifacts to be returned for following a consultation with community members, artists, and school children in Nigeria and the UK. The Honeyman's collection is a small part of the 3,000 to 5,000 artifacts taken from the Kingdom of Benin City in 1897 when British soldiers attacked and occupied the city as Britain expanded its political and commercial influence in West Africa. Reports say British Museum alone holds more than 900 objects from Benin City, and National Museum Scotland has another 74. Others were distributed to museums around the world. Apex Igbo social cultural group Ohanaeze Ndigbo Worldwide has faulted President Muhammadu Buhari for blaming community and religious leaders in Southeast for not speaking forcefully over insecurity in the region. Ohanaeze also described as uncharitable and mischievous the alleged attempt by the presidency to poison minds by insinuating that non-indigents and security officials were killed by the terrorists in the Southeast. Recall that President Buhari had condemned the recent attacks against non-indigents and law enforcement officials by terrorists in the Southeast, calling on the community and religious leaders to speak more forcefully against the killings and to stand up and defend the ethos of the nation's cultural and religious heritage. His reaction came amid reports of the slaying of 6 Nigerian citizens and killing of 4 policemen at their duty posts in Oguta local government area of Imo State. Still on security, the military task force in charge of maintaining peace in Plateau says the fight against bandits in the state is yielding positive results. Spokesman for Operation Safe Haven, Major Ishaku Takwa, stated this in Jos after the troops of the task force killed 8 bandits in a clearance operation in West local government area. It assured that a situation where the bandits would chase locals and force them to vacate their communities would henceforth no longer be tolerated in any part of the state. Takwa said the clearance operation against the bandits, which started last Saturday, would continue until the outlaws were completely defeated and sanity restored. Now, Inspector General of Police Usman Baba has dismissed Police Constable Leomo Okoye. Okoye, attached to Ekori Divisional Headquarters Cross Rivers Police Command, was dismissed for gross misconduct captured in a viral video on July 31, where he was flogging a man with a machete. His dismissal, according to a statement by the Force Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi, takes effect from today. The IGP reiterated his commitment to ethical regeneration, restoration of professional standard, and enhancement of the anti-corruption drive, with dedication to entrenching human rights-driven policing within the country. He expressed confidence that the current overhauling would improve the effectiveness of the units and rid them of negative elements who deviate from the standard operating procedure of the units and the Nigeria Police Force in general. In another development, former Governor of Plateau State Senator Joshua Darie and an ex-governor of Taraba State, Jolie Nyame, have been released via the Nigerian Correctional Service. They were serving jail terms for corruption allegations until they were granted a presidential pardon by President Muhammadu Buhari a few months ago. The Council of State had approved the pardon alongside 157 other convicts in April this year. The former governors were convicted by Justice Adebukola Banjoko of the Federal High Court, Abuja, in 2018. Back here, the Young Progressive Party, IPP, yesterday led its entourage in the Akwa Ibom Ubawabasi campaign movement to Oran, where it held a thanksgiving to God for seeing the party through in its ongoing efforts towards the 2023 elections in Akwa Ibom State. The Thanksgiving service held at Methodist Church, Nigeria, Cathedral of the Cross, Diocese of Oran, YPP's principal and governorship candidate Obong Basi Abet Oba reiterated promises to light up Oran Nation as a true economic hub while bringing all-round development to Akwa Ibom people and tackling the plights of civil servants in the state as well as pensioners. Oba vowed to continually uphold the dictates of God in governance of Akwa Ibom State and to always lead the state in the path of righteousness and justice. Also speaking during the event, retired Assistant Inspector General Sukwo Awana, who is YPP's chosen to deputize Senator Albert, expressed profound gratitude that the plights and grievances of the Oro Nation will now be adequately addressed. Also speaking, the chairman of YPP Campaign Council, Akpabio, commended the discipline and fast-growing pace of YPP and foresaw a bright, prosperous future. Meanwhile, the state chairman of YPP, Apostle Nyanime Andy, spoke on the choice of Oba to contest the governorship seat of Akwa Ibom State, expressing convictions that the turn of events in the political terrain of Akwa Ibom State was divinely orchestrated.
What is the Lamb? Ogbono, my Lord the Bishop, our clergy here present, Ogbono, the church, the women, the youth, the elders of the church, the presbyter of the church, Ogbono, all my brothers and my sisters in Akwa Ibom campaign movement, by the special grace of God, the chosen by God alone. And yeah, but the choose and his dear wife, my DG, the chairman of our strategic committee seated over there, our leader, the chairman of our campaign council, may God honor you, our most revered candidates, the senatorial candidates, the National Assembly candidates, and the House of Assembly candidates. Collectively, we say to God be the glory. So let me and to the Senate and all members of Akwa Ibom Abasi, we will work together to recover our estate, to reconcile our estate back to
Oro Nkwevu. When my principal asked me to come and run with him, I got a minute Ngo, sir, can I run with you? For 40 years, I've been in the wilderness. I think that was the last time Oron had a deputy governor. Can I still recover the years the locusts have eaten? Let me be a running mate. He says, no, you are not going to be a running mate. You are going to stand side by me so that we can recover the years the locusts have eaten. The next thing he said, Amber, on my honor, like you heard him say, Oro is an economic base of Akwa Ibom. Ibaka, if I can do something about Ibaka deep sea port, insecurity, economic insecurity, all that will be gone.
When I picked the lady as my running mate in Urefo, God said to me, that's where your deputy will come from. And as a party chairman, I kept it to myself. And when we had series of consultation, to God be the glory, today our deputy is coming from there. Let me say this, in 2014, God made a promise that the present governor will be governor. And he said, when it comes to the next time again, I will show you the next governor. It will be the greatest task, but you will lead that team. And today, God has given us, I'm not saying because here, in all the candidates, this is the very best for Akwa Ibom State.
Still to come in the news. CBN to stop multiple exchange rates in Nigeria. To stay with us. Hey, thanks for staying tuned. Now in Africa, the head of Kenya's electoral body has suspended voting in 4 places in the country following a mix-up in the printing of ballot papers. The areas affected are the counties Mombasa and Kakamega, where gubernatorial elections will not happen, and Pokot South and Kataliba constituencies where constituents will not cast ballots for members of parliament. Addressing newsmen, chairman of Kenya's electoral body, Wafula Chebukati, said details and images of the candidates listed on the ballots were wrong. Tomorrow, Kenyans will be electing a new president, as well as legislators and county administrations. Still in Africa, Ethiopian police say they have arrested a senior member of the banned Oromo Liberation Army in the border town of Moyale. Officers say Mohammed Ame was disguised as a different person at the time. The army is an ally of Tigray People's Liberation Front, both of which have been designated terrorist groups by the Ethiopian parliament. Mohammed is deputy head of the Army's Southern Command and is wanted by law enforcement bodies. Kenyan authorities also accuse the army group for the fluid security situation in its territory. It could be recalled that last year, longtime head of Southern Command of the group, Golicha Denge, defected to the Ethiopian government. Elsewhere, Chad's military government has signed a deal with more than 40 opposition groups to launch national peace talks later this month, although the main rebel outfit refused to take part. Under the agreement, Mohamed Debi's Transitional Military Council and hundreds of opposition representatives will launch a national peace dialogue in the capital, N'Djamena, on August 20. Reports say the dialogue aims to agree the schedule and rules for a presidential election, and Debi has promised by October. Meanwhile, 43 of the 47 groups which remained at the end of the mediation signed the accord to start national talks. Consequently, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and the African Union have urged the JANA and opposition to seize the latest opportunity to stabilize a country considered key to international efforts to stamp out Islamic extremists in the Sahel region. In a separate development, Ivory Coast has marked the 62nd anniversary of its independence with a military parade. In the administrative capital, Yamoussoukro, officers held flags and sang as they marched down the John Paul II Square. During the address, an address to the nation, President Ouattara pardoned his predecessor, Gbagbo, who was facing a 20-year jail sentence for the robbery of funds from the Abidjan Central Bank. Ivory Coast also called for the release of 49 Ivorian soldiers who had been held in Mali for almost a month without delay. It was reportedly the first time the military and civil parade returned after pandemic restrictions prevented the event. South Africa's Minister of International Relations, Naledi Pandor, has called for more effort to be made to resolve the war in Ukraine through dialogue. Speaking after a meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, Pandor said South Africa abhorred war. She also called for an even-handed approach to international issues, saying the world should be equally concerned about what's happening to the people of Palestine as the people of Ukraine. Reports say relations with the U.S. have been somewhat strained in recent months, as South Africa, a regional superpower, remained neutral in the Ukraine war. Blinken is also due to visit Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. On the foreign scene, White House has called on Russia to cease all military operations around nuclear facilities in Ukraine. White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters aboard Air Force One during a flight to Kentucky that fighting near a nuclear plant was dangerous. Jean-Pierre said the U.S. would continue to call on Russia to cease all military operations at or near Ukrainian nuclear facilities and return full control to Ukraine. Zaporizhia was occupied by Russia early in its invasion, and recent fighting there has raised fears of a nuclear accident. Jean-Pierre said the United States was closely monitoring the situation at the facility and that radiation sensors had not shown any indications of an increase or abnormal radiation levels. In a related development, head of Ukraine's state nuclear power company, Enerhoatom, has accused Russian soldiers of turning the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant into a military base and using it to launch attacks against Ukrainian positions. Petro Kotin told reporters that the threat to the plant was great, but the site remained safe. Kotin said 500 Russian soldiers were at the complex and Russia had positioned rocket launchers in the area of the plant. For days, Ukraine and Russia have accused each other of shelling the site, with Ukraine saying that 2 workers have been wounded and 3 radiation sensors damaged. The complex has been under Russian occupation since early March, but Ukrainian technicians still operated. Still on the war in Ukraine, Moscow-backed authorities in the southeastern Ukrainian region of Zaporizhia say they are pressing ahead with plans to stage a referendum on joining Russia. Head of the Moscow-installed administration in the occupied part of the region, Yevgeny Belitsky, confirmed on social media that he had signed a decree to start working on organizing a referendum on the reunification of the Zaporizhia region with the Russian Federation. Belitsky had earlier indicated the vote could be held in the autumn. The eponymous Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, which is Europe's largest, has in recent days been the scene of strikes that have damaged several structures, forcing the shutdown of a reactor. Meanwhile, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has demanded that international inspectors be given access to Zaporizhia nuclear plant after Ukraine and Russia traded blame over weekend shelling of Europe's largest atomic plant. Events at the Zaporizhia site, where Kyiv alleged that Russia hit a power line on Friday, had reportedly alarmed the world. Guterres said the International Atomic Energy Agency needed access to the plant and affirmed support for the group in all its efforts in relation to creating conditions for stabilization of the plant. Now, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Finland has registered a record number of asylum seekers, outstripping a previous high figure recorded during the 2015 refugee crisis. Finnish Immigration Service confirmed this in a statement. It said by August 4, those fleeing Ukraine due to the Russian military attack had submitted 35,074 applications for temporary protection. The service added that 1/3 of those fleeing Ukraine were children. It noted that overall, more than 37,000 people were currently registered in the country's reception system. The service said it had processed 33,480 applications for protection so far, meaning about 95% of applicants had already received a decision on their case, with less than 1% not granted asylum. Elsewhere, a truce has been announced between Israel and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad militant group, raising expectations that the worst flare-up on the Gaza border in more than a year might come to an end. The two sides made the announcements and expressed gratitude to Egypt for mediating the ceasefire in separate statements. Authorities in Gaza say the Israeli airstrikes on the Gaza Strip have killed at least 44 Palestinians, almost half of them civilians, and including children, since Friday, and caused severe damage to infrastructure in the area. In the United States, the Senate has approved a bill that includes $369 billion for climate action, the largest investment in America's history. The authors of the Inflation Reduction Act say it will cut the country's carbon emissions by 40% by 2030. Reports say some households could receive up to $7,500 in tax credit to buy an electric car and $4,000 for a used car. The bill, which is a key plank of President Joe Biden's agenda, will now be sent to the Democrat-controlled House. It is expected to be backed there as soon as this week before it can be signed into law by Biden. Moving on now to China, where the military has announced fresh drills in the seas and airspace around Taiwan, one day after the scheduled end of its largest ever exercises to protest against last week's visit to Taipei by U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. China's Eastern Theater Command said it would conduct joint drills focusing on anti-submarine and sea assault operations, confirming the fears of some security analysts and diplomats that Beijing would continue to maintain pressure on Taiwan's defenses. It could be recalled that Pelosi's visit to Taiwan last week had infuriated China, which regards the self-ruled island as its own and responded with test launches of ballistic missiles over Taipei for the first time, as well as ditching some lines of dialogue with the U.S. The duration of and precise location of the latest drills is not yet known, but Taiwan has already eased flight restrictions near the 6 earlier Chinese exercise areas surrounding the island. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. We have Blyden Ukem standing by.
Thank you, Xavier Roberts. Good evening. It's a new week. Let's talk business. My name is Blyden Ukem. We begin with Chile's economic index as inflation rate hits 28-year high at 13.1%. The annual inflation rate in Chile surged to 13.1% in July of 2022, accelerating from 12.5% in the prior month. Inflation is a general increase in prices and fall in the purchasing power of money. It was the highest reading since March of 1994, amid soaring cost of energy and the Chilean peso reaching record lows. Prices advanced faster for transportation at 26.4% against 24.4% in June. Food and non-alcoholic beverages at 19.4% against 18.5%. Housing and utility 10.7% against 9.9%, and recreation and culture 16.4% against 15.4%. The core inflation rate rose to 10.3% from 9.9% in the previous month. On the monthly basis, the CPI, Consumer Price Index, rose by 1.4% compared to the 0.9% rise in the previous month and surpassing expectations of 1.15% increase. Let's look at the crypto market. Bitcoin bounces above $24,000. Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency, regained ground above $24,000, now up almost 40% from its June low, on the back of an overall risk appetite fueled by upbeat US economic data and earning results. Ethereum, the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap, also saw its valuation rise sharply in recent months to consolidate around $2,000 mark, owing to its use in the rapidly growing world of decentralized finance. Cardano, Solana, and Polkadot also enjoyed gains, up between 1% and 6%. Elon Musk gives condition to complete Twitter deal, challenging CEO Agrawal to public debate. Tesla Chief Executive Officer Elon Musk has given a condition to complete the $44 billion Twitter acquisition deal, months after the billionaire threatened to pull out over disagreement with the firm's board. Musk stated that Twitter's management should submit the method of sampling that discloses how the social media company arrives at the conclusion that its spam account is less than 5% of its over 300 million users. In July, Musk had informed the United States Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) that material breach and false and misleading statements on the part of Twitter had compelled him to terminate the deal. According to Marks, if Twitter simply provides their method of sampling 100 accounts and how they're confirmed to be real, the deal should proceed on original terms. However, if it turns out that the SEC filings are materially false, then it should not. I hereby challenge Paraga to a public debate about the Twitter bot percentage. Let him prove to the public that Twitter has 5% fake or spam daily users, Marks tweeted. We'll move to NESG report, where CBN is to stop multiple exchange rates. They say it hurts economy. The Nigerian Economic Summit Group, NESG, has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to find a solution to the country's multiple exchange rates to attract tangible foreign direct investments, FDIs, into Nigeria. The call was part of a communique from the meeting of the Board of Directors of the NESG held over the weekend. International investors, being savvy and rational, will not invest where there is a risk to their ability to access and repatriate investment proceeds, or when the functional currency is in a sporadic depreciation. The group said there was no better time to harmonize the FX rates than now. And it's time for the Nigerian stock market reports. At the end of the first weekday of trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 207.19 million shares and 4,234 deals corresponding to a market value of 2.119 billion naira were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, which was Friday, August 5th, today's data shows 39% improvement in volume, 10% improvement in turnover, and 3% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 27.2 trillion naira, and in aggregate, 110 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 10 gainers and 15 losers. Jaipal Gold and Ventures led the gainers with 8.82% share price appreciation, closing at 37 kobo per share. On the losing side, Alti Briscoe came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 10% at 36 kobo per share. First Bank Nigeria Holdings recorded the highest volume of 74.6 million traded shares. Regarding the performance of the market indices, the benchmark All-Share Index shared 232.6 basis points to close at 50,489.73 points. This is all on business news, and over to Xavier Robert for the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Blyden. Still to come in the news. Nigeria winger Victor Moses to have surgery on Achilles injury. To stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now, in health, where experts have called on the federal government and other employers of labor to implement 6 months of maternity leave and make the workplace conducive for mothers to practice exclusive breastfeeding for their babies. The experts decried the low exclusive breastfeeding rate put at 29% in Nigeria and solicited increased support for mothers. The president of the Nigerian Society of Neonatal Medicine, Dr. Olukemi Tongo, said the theme for 2022 Breastfeeding Week, Step Up for Breastfeeding, Educate and Support, was to encourage mothers to exclusively breastfeed their babies for the first 6 months of life for all the benefits accrued from breastfeeding: the baby's growth, good development, emotional development, immunity to fight infections. Still in health, the Nigeria Association of Resident Doctors says the federal government is yet to reach for a possible meeting for the 2-week ultimatum the union declared following the failure by government to implement the new hazard allowance rate proposed in December 2021. The association, however, expressed the hope that the government would do the needful to avert a strike. Recall that the National Salaries, Wages and Income Commission had in December 2021 announced the approval of the new hazard allowance rate. The implementation of the new rate is, however, yet to begin. It is over now to Bright James for trending sports stories.
Thank you, Xavier Robert. Good evening and welcome to the Sports Desk. I am Bright James. We begin with news that former Nigeria international Victor Moses is facing a long layoff after suffering an Achilles injury playing for club side Spartak Moscow. The 31-year-old will have surgery after picking up the injury in club's 2-0 win at Ura in the Russian Premier League on Saturday. The former Chelsea winger, who was widely linked with the return to England over the past few months, scored twice in 40 outings in the new campaign. Spartak, Russia's most successful club, expects Moses to be out for 6 months. Moses scored 18 goals in 128 appearances for Chelsea, winning the Premier League, Europa League and the FA Cup at Stamford Bridge before moving to Russia in July 2021. Elsewhere, Sebastian Desabre has been appointed as the new coach of the DR Congo after the Frenchman ended his contract at Chamois Notier. The 46-year-old succeeds Argentine Hector Cooper, who was sacked in June after the Leopards lost their first 2 qualifiers for the 2023 African Cup of Nations. Notier has threatened legal action after Desabre was named as the DR Congo coach on Saturday, with the club saying it had never been in contact with the Central African country's football federation, FOCAFA. However, the French League 2 outfit announced that it had agreed to terminate Desabre's contract yesterday, Sunday. Now, England were denied a dramatic 4x400 meters Commonwealth relay gold after officials ruled they committed a lane infringement before anchor Jesse Knight ended the titles of finishes. Knight initially seemed to have secured victory by 100 seconds ahead of Canada's Kira Constantine, but the hosts were denied a fairy tale end to the athletics program as Georgia spotted Jody Williams' 4th string on the first changeover. Scotland were promoted to bronze. The team of Zoe Clark, Beth Dobbin, Gio Cherry and Nico Yegin, rather than England, climbed the podium in front of half-empty Alexander Stadium when the medal ceremony took place. And that's all from the Sports Desk this evening. I am Bright James. Over now to Beto Bryan for entertainment news.
Thanks, Bright James. Hello and welcome to the Entertainment Desk. I am Beto Bryan. First on our bulletin this evening, Nigerian Bar Association NBA disowns disqualified reality star Beauty Tukura.
Barely 48 hours after Beauty Tukura, former Big Brother Naija housemate of Season 7's show and an acclaimed lawyer, was evicted from the popular reality TV show for fighting a co-participant, a disclaimer disowning her as a lawyer has been released. It will be recalled Beauty was disqualified from the game last night after she got into a heated argument with her in the house Groovy, disowning her. The first of the NBA, John Akikpopo Martins, dismissed the reports making rounds that Beauty Tukura is a lawyer. He claimed that contrary to popular reports, legal practitioners in the Supreme Court and the Nigerian Bar Association (NBA) failed to reveal the name Beauty Tukura. Reading his full statement, he did say the disqualified former Miss Nigeria, BB Naija Season 7 was disqualified with his attention being drawn to proportions that she was a lawyer making the claims. He says that she is not a lawyer, and if anyone has any contrary to show that she is, they could let him know. That for throwing her wig and glasses at the participants in the show, very uncultured behavior. This reports, he said, have been most embarrassing to most members of the legal profession and may in all reasonable prohibiting bring the profession into dispute. A quick check of the database of the role of law practitioners in Nigeria, Supreme Court and NBA failed to reveal her name. Well, moving away from this story on to our next story making the rounds. Afro-pop singer Kiss Daniel has been arrested in Tanzania over failures to perform concerts. The Nigerian music star Kiss Daniel is currently being detained by the Tanzanian police following his failure to perform at a concert on Sunday. With fines said to have paid over $5,000 to watch the singer perform at the concert, Kiss Daniel, however, failed to show up. Angry fans at the venue, learning that the Buga singer was not coming to the show, allegedly destroyed facilities at the venue. Daniel was landed in Tanzania for a show on Sunday morning, but he claimed he could not perform as he forgot his bag containing his clothes and other valuables. The development irked fans as they invited the police and got the Nigerian music star arrested at his hotel room. And lastly, from the entertainment desk this evening, Kim Kardashian reportedly broke up with Pete Davidson because things are getting too serious. While it was initially reported that Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson split over their busy schedules and long-distance struggles, a new report suggests that Kardashian may have had other reasons behind the split. According to a source who spoke with Entertainment Tonight, Kardashian felt the spark between them had faded after 9 months together. Sources added that Davidson, according to Kardashian, was sweet, but she didn't really feel ready for something serious with him, saying they had tons of chemistry and still do, but it's a kind of thing that gets quite confusing, noting that it started out as a fling, and she still thinks of him as the nicest and sweetest guy in the world, but there's no drama or anything between them now. We'll bring you more developments as this story continues to unfold. My name is Peter Bryan, thanking you for watching. Over to Xavier Roberts.
Well, that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert. Do have a good night rest.